I work for a service that disposes of old electronics. My job is to pick up outdated tech from people's homes and send it off for recycling. It's usually boring work. Microwaves, decade-old computers, printers, but sometimes you come across interesting items. That day, I got a request from an old mansion on the outskirts of the city. The address wasn't in the best part of town, a run-down district where even the streetlights seemed to burn dimly. The owner, an elderly man with nervous hands and eyes that were too bright, met me at the gate. "Please, take this away," he said, pointing to a massive television in the living room. It was a vintage piece, a tube Reuben in a wooden case, heavy as a coffin. The screen was covered in dust, but beneath it, a strange, oily blackness showed through. "It works," the man added, and his voice held a strange note somewhere between fear and disgust. My curiosity got the better of me. Instead of sending the TV for recycling, I kept it in my garage. That same evening, I wiped the screen clean and plugged the set into an outlet. At first, nothing happened, just the quiet hum of the tubes. But then, the screen lit up. There was no picture, no static, just a perfect deep blackness that seemed alive. I tried changing the channels, to no avail. But then I noticed something strange. In the reflection on the dark screen, I saw not my garage, but an unfamiliar room. My own face, but behind me wasn't a wall with tools, but a dusty living room with peeling wallpaper. I spun around sharply. Behind me was my garage, but in the television, my reflection was still sitting in that very room, and it slowly turned its head and smiled at me, a smile that wasn't on my own face. I haven't been able to get rid of it since. I tried to throw the TV away, but the next morning it was always back in the garage. I smashed the screen with a hammer. Overnight, it became whole again, and the image inside became clearer. Now, I see myself in it, but in another world. That version of me lives in that very old mansion. He sleeps in a dusty bedroom, eats canned food in a kitchen with a collapsed floor. And sometimes, very rarely, he approaches the screen and looks at me. He looks at me with hatred, and I understand. He wants to switch places. Last night, I woke up to a sound from the garage. The television was on. On the screen, that other me was standing right by the glass, holding something in his hand. Looking closer, I recognized my own bedroom wardrobe. And this morning, I couldn't find my favorite mug, but in the television, in the kitchen of that other world, it was standing on the table. He's gradually taking my things, and I'm starting to forget details. Today, I couldn't remember the color of the wallpaper in my bedroom, but I remember perfectly the cracked plaster on the walls of his room. I'm writing this so I don't forget who I am, but I feel that soon there will be nothing left tying me to this world. And then he will be able to come out, and I will remain there behind the glass in the black television, and I will wait for someone to take me into their garage. A week has passed. I stopped going to the garage, welding the door shut with metal sheets, but it didn't help. The television started coming to me in the house. It first happened 3 days ago. Waking up in the middle of the night, I saw that same oily blackness of the screen in the hallway. It floated in the air, silently approaching. I squeezed my eyes shut, and when I opened them, the hallway was empty. But since then, it appears every evening, closer and closer. Yesterday, it was already at my bedroom door. A soft crackling came from the speakers, and through it I could make out a voice, my own voice, but distorted, full of hatred. It repeated, "Free me." This morning, I realized I couldn't remember my mother's face. Instead, I saw the face of an elderly woman in a black dress, the one from the photograph in that mansion. I no longer recognize my own handwriting. The letters come out angular, alien. The worst part is that I'm starting to see dreams through his eyes. Dusty rooms, boarded up windows, a feeling of hunger that never fades. And in these dreams, I approach the television, behind which I see my former life, and I feel a fierce hatred for it. He isn't just taking my things, he's taking my memories, my identity. Yesterday, I caught myself looking in the kitchen for that same missing mug, even though I clearly remembered it's in the television. But it wasn't my memory anymore. It was his memory. Right now, I'm sitting in the living room, writing this. Across from me stands that same Reuben. I didn't bring it here. It just appeared. The screen is flickering. In its depths, I see that dusty living room, and in it, my own figure. That other me is coming closer. His face is twisted with malice. A whisper comes through the glass. Almost ready. My fingers are barely obeying me. Fragments of someone else's memories surface in my mind. A childhood in that mansion. Loneliness. Hunger. Darkness. I think this is the end. He has won. Soon I will become the one behind the screen, and he will take my place, and he will live my life. Goodbye. If you see an old black television, don't plug it in, because maybe it will be me looking at you from its depths, and envying you, and waiting for my turn to be free.